I'm standing outside a $500 per plate restaurant in Sonoma County, wearing my best button-down shirt and clean work boots, watching my own son tell the valet to move my Ford F-150 because it's bringing down the property value. That was the moment I knew 27 years of sacrifice had created a monster. Name's Bob Hayes. I'm 52. And I've spent the last 3 decades building Hayes Automotive Solutions from a single-bay garage into 7 locations across Northern California. But this story isn't about business success. It's about what happens when unconditional love creates conditional respect. Let me back up. Kevin was 5 when his mother Sarah died in a car accident. Drunk driver ran a red light, and just like that, I'm a single dad with a kindergartner asking why mommy won't come home. I made a promise at her funeral that Kevin would never want for anything. Looking back, that promise nearly destroyed us both. Being a mechanic in 1997 meant good money if you worked smart. I started Hayes Automotive with $15,000 and a lease on a 2-bay shop in Sacramento. Kevin would sit in the corner doing homework while I rebuilt transmissions and diagnosed electrical problems. Those were good times, simple times. "Dad, can you teach me about engines?" He'd ask at 8 years old, and I'd spend Sunday afternoons showing him how carburetors worked, how to change oil, basic maintenance stuff. The kid was sharp, really sharp. By 10, he could spot a blown head gasket by the exhaust smoke. "Look at the white smoke, Kevin. See how thick it is? That's coolant burning in the combustion chamber. So the gasket is cracked?" "Exactly. Good eye, son." But somewhere around middle school, things shifted. Kevin started noticing that his classmates' dads wore suits while mine came to school events with grease under my fingernails. The first crack appeared when he was 12. "Dad, can you not mention what you do for work at the science fair?" he asked. "Just say you're in automotive." I should have caught the warning sign right there, but I was too busy expanding the business to fund his future. By 2005, I had 3 shops and was clearing $200,000 annually. Every penny went to giving Kevin opportunities I never had. Private school cost me $20,000 per year, but Kevin's grades were phenomenal. Honor roll every semester, captain of the robotics team, early admission to Stanford's engineering program. I was proud as hell, even when the tuition bills started hitting $65,000 annually. "Dad, I got accepted to Stanford." He called me from school, senior year. The excitement in his voice made every 60-hour work week worth it. I drove straight to the liquor store and bought a $200 bottle of champagne. We celebrated that night like we'd won the lottery. "You're going to be an engineer, Kevin. A real engineer, not just a guy who fixes things." "Dad, fixing things is important too." "Sure, but you're going to design the things that need fixing. That's the difference." College years were expensive in ways I hadn't anticipated. Tuition, room, board, plus Kevin's networking expenses for engineering society events. Spring break trips to Costa Rica for cultural enrichment. Summer internships at Tesla that paid nothing but required housing in Palo Alto at $3,500 per month. "This is an investment in my career, Dad," he'd explain over the phone. "Everyone in my program is doing these internships. It's how you get hired at the top companies." I believed him. Hell, I wanted to believe him. My son was going to be an engineer at Tesla. Sarah would have been so proud. The money added up faster than I'd expected. Private school ran $20,000 per year for 12 years. Stanford hit me for $65,000 tuition annually, plus living expenses pushed each year to $80,000 total. Room and board, textbooks, lab fees, engineering society dues, study abroad programs. "Dad, I need $8,000 for the summer program in Germany. It's through Mercedes-Benz, and they're only taking 20 students from American universities." Every request came with justification. Every expense was an investment or networking opportunity or career requirement. I wrote the checks because I wanted Kevin to have every advantage I'd never had. Kevin graduated Stanford in 2015 with a mechanical engineering degree and a job offer from Tesla Motors. Starting salary, $95,000 plus stock options. I threw him a graduation party that cost $12,000, inviting everyone from the automotive community who'd watched him grow up. "Ladies and gentlemen," I announced that night, raising my beer, "my son Kevin is going to design the future of transportation." The applause was genuine. These were working-class people who understood what it meant to sacrifice for your kid's education. But Kevin barely acknowledged them. He spent the party talking on his phone with his new Tesla colleagues, planning his move to the Bay Area. Kevin, I called to him during the party, come meet Tony Romano from European Auto. He's been asking about your engineering program. Dad, I'm on an important call with my new team lead. Can this wait? Tony smiled politely and walked away. I should have paid attention to that moment. That's when I met Madison Sterling. Kevin brought her home for Thanksgiving 2017, and I could tell immediately she came from money. The kind of money that doesn't talk about money. Her father was a federal judge. Her mother served on museum boards. Madison had graduated from UC Berkeley Law and landed at Sterling & Associates, representing tech companies. So you own auto repair shops, she said when Kevin introduced us, like she was identifying a species of insect. 7 locations now, I replied. We specialize in European imports and hybrid systems. She smiled politely and changed the subject to wine varietals. I noticed Kevin didn't defend what I did for a living, just nodded along when she talked about sustainable transportation solutions and disrupting traditional automotive paradigms. Kevin and Madison got married in 2019 at a Napa Valley vineyard. Cost me $125,000, but Kevin insisted it was necessary for Madison's career. Her law firm partners will be there, Dad. First impressions matter in her world. I wore a $2,200 suit and kept my mouth shut about the $300 per bottle wine. Kevin looked happy, and that's all that mattered. But during the reception, I overheard Madison talking to her college friends. Kevin's so brilliant, you know. He completely reinvented himself from his background. You'd never know where he came from, like it was something shameful. Things really changed after they had Sophie in 2020. Suddenly, every conversation became about private schools, nanny services, and providing advantages. Kevin had gotten promoted to senior engineer, making $180,000 plus substantial stock grants, but somehow they always needed financial help. Sophie needs to attend Bright Horizons Academy, Madison explained during a video call. It's $40,000 annually, but the waiting list for kindergarten starts at age 2. I wrote the check. Sarah's granddaughter deserved the best. But the requests kept coming. Sophie's private swimming lessons at $200 per session. Violin instruction with a conservatory graduate. Mandarin tutoring because bilingual education is essential in today's global economy. Every activity costs more than most families spent on groceries. Dad, we need help with the mortgage this month, Kevin called in late 2021. Madison's firm is restructuring and her bonus got delayed. Their mortgage on a $1.2 million Palo Alto townhouse was $8,500 monthly. I sent $15,000 to cover 2 months, plus utilities and HOA fees. The temporary help became routine assistance. By 2022, my contributions to Kevin's lifestyle had become like clockwork. Tesla Model S lease payment of $2,200 monthly. I'd been covering that for 18 months already, supplementing their mortgage when cash flow was tight. Sophie's private school tuition, emergency funds that were never real emergencies. The Tesla needs new tires, Dad. These performance models require special compounds, $2,400 for a complete set. Kevin, you're making $180,000 plus stock options. Why can't you afford tires? Everything's expensive here, Dad. You don't understand Bay Area cost of living. I started keeping detailed records around this time, not for any particular reason, just business habit. Spreadsheets tracking every payment, every loan that never got repaid, every temporary help that became permanent support. When I finally added up all the numbers, the total was staggering. Private school had cost me $240,000 over 12 years. Stanford ran $320,000 for 4 years, including living expenses. Kevin's vehicles over the years hit $115,000, starting with that Honda Civic for $18,000 in high school, then the Audi A4 for $28,000 in college, the BMW 328i for $35,000 after graduation, and now 18 months of Tesla lease payments at $1,200 monthly. Housing assistance totaled $125,000 between college apartments, post-graduation help, and townhouse down payment contribution. The wedding alone cost me $125,000 for Madison's professional appearances. Then there was what Kevin called lifestyle support, the steady stream of emergency funds, bill assistance, Sophie's education and activities, vacation contributions, investment account seed money that Kevin never contributed to himself. That number hit $275,000 over the years. Total, $1.2 million over 27 years. Still, I told myself it was worth it. Kevin was successful, respected in his field, building the kind of life Sarah and I had dreamed about when we were young and broke. That changed in March 2024. Tesla promoted Kevin to principal engineer in charge of autopilot software integration. Big promotion, big raise, big celebration planned at Auberge du Soleil in Sonoma County. Kevin invited his team, Madison's law firm colleagues, and some of Tesla's executive staff. "It's really important that everything looks perfect, Dad," Kevin explained over the phone. "These are industry leaders, potential investors in my next venture. Image matters in Silicon Valley. I'm proud of you, son. Of course I want to celebrate." Well, the thing is, it's a pretty upscale crowd. Tech executives, venture capitalists, Madison's law partners. You know how these people are about appearances. Something in his tone made me pause. "What are you saying, Kevin?" "Nothing bad, Dad. Just that maybe you could rent something for the evening. There's an enterprise near you that has luxury cars. BMW, Mercedes, stuff like that. You want me to rent a car to attend your promotion party? It's just that your truck might stand out. These people notice details. I should have stayed home. But this was my son's biggest career moment, and I wanted to celebrate with him." I drove up in my F-150, freshly washed, wearing my best clothes. Not a rental BMW or Mercedes, but the truck that had hauled tools and materials to build the business that paid for Kevin's entire life. The restaurant was the kind of place where the valet parking costs more than most people spend on dinner. I pulled up behind a line of luxury vehicles, feeling slightly out of place, but proud of my son. The valet looked at my truck like it was contaminated. "Sir, are you sure you're at the right location? This is a private event. Kevin Hayes' promotion party. I'm his father." Kevin met me at the valet stand, and his face immediately tightened. I could see his Tesla colleagues watching from the restaurant entrance, their expressions curious. Kevin was 32 now, successful, confident in his professional world. But in that moment, he looked like a teenager embarrassed by his old man. "Dad, what are you doing here? You invited me, remember? Your big promotion celebration?" He glanced around nervously, noting the Tesla executives stepping out of their vehicles. Some pretty high-level people were arriving, director-level engineers, a couple of VPs from other divisions. "I didn't think you'd actually come. This is a professional networking event. I'm proud of you, son. I wanted to celebrate. Dad, look around. Look at how everyone else is dressed, what they're driving. You don't understand how important tonight is for my career." Madison appeared beside Kevin, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. Her smile was practiced, professional. Over the years, I'd watched her mold Kevin into someone she could present to her world. Tonight felt like the final test. "Bob, what a surprise. Kevin didn't mention you were coming. My son got promoted. Where else would I be?" Her expression tightened slightly. "Of course, though this is primarily a professional function. Industry people, you understand." That's when Kevin said it. The words that ended 27 years of unconditional support. "Dad, I need you to leave. Your truck, your clothes, your whole presence here. It doesn't fit the image I've built. These people don't need to know I come from this background." I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, watching luxury cars arrive, listening to my son explain why his father was an embarrassment. Silicon Valley's finest stepping out of vehicles worth more than most houses. Their designer clothes and confident smiles representing everything Kevin had worked to become. "What background is that, Kevin? You know what I mean, Dad. Blue collar, working class. These are tech leaders, venture capitalists. They expect a certain caliber of associates." The valet was still holding my keys, uncertain whether to park my truck or ask me to leave. Other guests were starting to notice the conversation, their polite smiles masking obvious curiosity about the F-150 and the man in work boots. "The background that paid for Stanford? The background that built the business that funded your entire life? Dad, please don't make this harder than it needs to be." Then I reached for my phone. "What are you doing?" Kevin asked, watching me scroll through my contacts. "Calling my bank." I drove home in silence, Kevin's words replaying in my head. By the time I reached Sacramento, I had made 12 phone calls. First National Bank to stop payment on Kevin's Tesla lease. Wells Fargo to cancel the automatic transfer covering Sophie's school tuition. Chase to revoke the credit card I'd given Kevin for emergencies. But that was just the beginning. My lawyer, Janet Morrison from Morrison & Associates, had prepared documentation I'd hoped never to use. Formal demand letter requesting immediate repayment of $1.2 million in educational, housing, and lifestyle support provided over 27 years. You kept excellent records, Janet noted when I met with her Monday morning. This level of documentation would hold up in any court. Every bank transfer, every tuition payment, every vehicle purchase. Most parents just write checks and forget about it. I run a business. Documentation matters. The legal precedent is clear. Educational support beyond age 18 can be classified as loans if the recipient demonstrates financial independence. Kevin's Tesla salary puts him well above the threshold. I had the papers served Tuesday morning at Tesla's Fremont facility. Kevin called me 20 minutes later. Dad, what the hell is this? You can't be serious. Dead serious. You have 45 days to arrange repayment. But this is impossible. I don't have $1.2 million cash. My Tesla stock is vested over 4 years. The house has a mortgage. Sophie's education fund is barely started. Sounds like a planning problem. Dad, please. You're destroying my life over one stupid comment. Kevin, I've spent 27 years building your life. You spent 30 seconds making it clear you're ashamed of how I built mine. The fallout started slowly, then picked up speed like a snowball rolling downhill. Kevin's Tesla colleagues began asking questions about his background. Word spread gradually in Silicon Valley circles about the family financial issues and unexpected legal complications. Hey Bob, my business partner Dave called Wednesday morning. I'm seeing some interesting stuff online about Kevin. Everything okay? Everything's fine. Kevin's learning about consequences. The Automotive Association group chat is buzzing. Everyone's talking about what happened at that tech party. I hadn't expected the automotive community response. Over the next few days, my phone kept ringing with support calls from competitors, suppliers, even customers. Word travels fast in our business. Bob, this is Tony Romano from European Auto. Just wanted to say what you did took guts. These entitled kids need to learn respect. Bob, it's Rick from Premium Tire. My son's in college and I'm showing him the news article about your situation. Kid needs to understand where his tuition money comes from. By the end of the week, the Northern California Automotive Association had published an editorial titled Blue Collar Dignity versus Silicon Valley Snobbery. Local news picked up the story as tech engineer versus mechanic dad, a $1 million family feud. The coverage was mostly sympathetic to my position, but the real impact hit Kevin personally. Tesla's HR department received calls questioning his family values and character issues. Not enough to fire him, but enough to schedule what they called performance coaching sessions. Mr. Hayes, Kevin's direct manager, called him into a meeting Friday. We've received some calls about your personal situation. Tesla values family integrity in our leadership positions. This is a private family matter, sir. Private matters that generate public controversy can affect team dynamics. Some colleagues have expressed concerns about working with someone who treats family members this way. Madison's response was swift and calculated. Thursday evening, she filed for legal separation, citing undisclosed financial liabilities and misrepresentation of family assets. Kevin, I can't have my law career destroyed by your family drama, she explained over their kitchen table. My partners are asking questions about due diligence, about what other secrets you've hidden. Madison, this will blow over. My dad's just angry. Your father documented $1.2 million in support over 27 years. That level of dependency raises questions about your professional competence. My firm represents tech companies who need to trust their counsel's judgment. Madison was protecting herself, but she wasn't wrong about the optics. A 32-year-old engineer who'd been financially dependent his entire adult life didn't project the image of stability her law firm wanted. Friday afternoon, Kevin showed up at my house alone. His Tesla looked out of place in my driveway, surrounded by work trucks and practical vehicles. Dad, Madison filed for separation yesterday. She's protecting her assets in case your lawsuit succeeds. I poured myself a beer and gestured to the kitchen table. Sit down, son. Her father thinks you're having some kind of breakdown. He's recommending I seek emergency custody of Sophie to protect her from this family drama. Kevin, let me ask you something. When's the last time you thanked me for anything? He looked confused. I've always been grateful. When? Give me one specific example from the last 5 years. Silence stretched between us. Kevin stared at his hands, then looked around the kitchen where he'd eaten thousands of meals I'd prepared, done homework at the table I'd bought with overtime money. You know what I realized last week? You've never asked how I afforded Stanford. Never wondered about the sacrifice. Never questioned where $1.2 million came from or what I gave up to provide it. I assumed the business was doing well. The business does fine now. But when you were in college, I was working 70-hour weeks, skipping vacations, driving 15-year-old trucks, so you could have everything. I haven't bought myself new clothes in 3 years. I eat dinner alone every night because you're too busy networking with people who matter. Kevin looked around the kitchen, really seeing it for the first time in years. The 20-year-old appliances I'd never replaced because Kevin's expenses came first. The furniture I'd kept because home improvements meant less money for his lifestyle. I didn't know. You never asked. And last week, you made it clear that knowing would be an embarrassment. Dad, I was nervous. Those Tesla executives, they're deciding promotions to the executive team. Image matters in that world. What world is that, Kevin? The world where your father's work isn't good enough? Where the man who sacrificed everything for your success isn't worthy of being seen with you? That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. You've spent 7 years since Stanford becoming someone who's ashamed of where you came from. Madison didn't create that shame. She just gave you permission to express it. We sat quietly for several minutes. Outside, I could hear my neighbor starting his motorcycle, heading out for his evening ride. Normal people living normal lives, not trying to impress venture capitalists or prove they belonged in worlds that demanded you deny your family. Finally, Kevin looked up. What do you want from me? I want you to understand what you threw away when you decided your father wasn't good enough for your success. I can't pay back $1.2 million. I know, but you can earn back my respect. How? I pointed to my garage where a 1967 Mustang Fastback sat waiting for restoration. You start by remembering where you came from. Every Saturday for the next year, you work here with me, learning the business that paid for your education, understanding the value of work that doesn't require a computer. Kevin looked at the Mustang, then at his hands. Soft hands that hadn't held a wrench in 15 years. And then we see if you can remember how to be my son instead of just my expense. The first Saturday was awkward. Kevin showed up in designer jeans and a polo shirt, looking like he was heading to a country club instead of a garage. Those clothes are going to get destroyed, I warned him. I don't really have work clothes anymore. I handed him a set of coveralls from my closet. These should fit. Watching Kevin struggle with basic tasks was painful. He'd forgotten how to use a socket wrench properly, couldn't identify different grades of bolts, needed help operating the hydraulic lift. The engineering degree from Stanford meant nothing when faced with a seized brake caliper. Dad, this bolt won't budge. You're turning it the wrong direction. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, remember? Oh, right. But something interesting happened around the third Saturday. Kevin started asking real questions. Not polite questions, but genuine curiosity about the work. Why did they use this type of carburetor in the 67 models? Cost and simplicity. This Autolite 4-barrel was cheaper to manufacture than fuel injection and easier for shade tree mechanics to service. Not everything needs to be high-tech to work well. By the 6th Saturday, Kevin was showing up early, staying late. His hands were developing calluses again. He'd bought his own work clothes, proper boots, safety glasses. Dad, I've been thinking about the Tesla Autopilot project. We're trying to solve problems with software that could be handled mechanically. More complexity doesn't always mean better solutions. Now you're learning. The automotive community noticed Kevin's presence at the shop. Word spreads fast in this business, and people were curious about the spoiled tech kid learning to work with his hands again. Bob, is that your son under the Mustang? Asked Tony Romano from European Auto, stopping by one Saturday afternoon. Kevin, come meet Tony. He's got a shop specializing in BMW repairs. Kevin slid out from under the car, face streaked with grease, genuine smile replacing the practiced professional expression I'd grown used to. Mr. Romano, good to meet you. Dad's told me about your shop. Heard you work at Tesla. Must be interesting, all that electric vehicle technology. It is, but I'm learning there's value in understanding how mechanical systems work before you try to replace them with computers. Tony looked impressed. Smart thinking. Too many young engineers forget that cars are still machines, not just computers on wheels. Meanwhile, Kevin's professional life was getting more complicated. Tesla had assigned him to what they called individual development planning, basically performance review with extra scrutiny. Madison's divorce proceedings were moving forward steadily, with her legal team portraying Kevin as financially irresponsible and emotionally unstable. "Dad, I might lose custody of Sophie entirely," Kevin told me one Saturday while we worked on the Mustang's transmission. "Madison's lawyers are saying I'm financially dependent on family members and can't provide stable support." "Are they wrong?" Kevin paused, wrench in hand. "No, they're not wrong. So what are you going to do about it?" "I don't know. Fight it, I guess." "Kevin, fighting the truth doesn't make it less true. Madison's right about one thing. You've been financially dependent your entire adult life. That's my fault as much as yours." "Your fault? I never taught you the value of earning something yourself. I just gave you everything and told myself I was being a good father." The restoration project became our communication method. Working side by side, solving mechanical problems, we started having conversations we'd never had before. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Sure. When did you know you wanted to be a mechanic?" "I didn't." "Your grandfather was a mechanic, and I started helping him when I was 12. Needed the money for family. Turned out I was good at it." "Did you ever want to do something else?" "Sure. I thought about engineering school when I was young, but your mother got pregnant and we needed steady income. Sometimes life makes choices for you." Kevin stopped working. "You gave up engineering to support Mom and me?" "I chose family over personal ambition. Best decision I ever made. But you could have been an engineer, like me." "Kevin, fixing things is just as important as designing them, maybe more important. Engineers design perfect systems on computers. Mechanics keep real systems running in the real world." 8 months later, Kevin made a decision that surprised everyone. He resigned from Tesla and asked to work full-time at Hayes Automotive. "Dad, I want to learn the business. Really learn it. From the ground up. You'd take a 70% pay cut. I'd take a 100% pay cut if it meant understanding how to build something real." The Tesla resignation made local news. Former Tesla engineer leaves Silicon Valley for father's auto shop. The story portrayed it as either a heartwarming reconciliation or professional suicide, depending on who was telling it. Kevin started at $45,000 annually, working as a regular mechanic. He rented a small apartment in Sacramento, sold the Tesla, bought a used Ford pickup. Sophie started spending weekends with us, learning about engines the way Kevin had learned 27 years earlier. "Grandpa, why do you have to change the oil?" "Because engines need clean oil to run smoothly, sweetheart. Just like people need clean water to stay healthy." "Can I help change the oil?" "Of course. Your daddy used to help me when he was your age." Kevin looked up from the workbench, smiled at his daughter's excitement. "Sophie, want to learn how to use a wrench?" A year later, Kevin handed me an envelope. "What's this?" "First payment, $50,000. It'll take me 15 years at this rate, but I'm paying you back." I didn't open the envelope. "Keep it for Sophie's college fund. Real college, not just prestige college." "Dad, I owe you more than money." "Yeah, you do. But you're starting to understand what that means." Kevin's been working at the shop for 18 months now. He's good with customers, understands the technical side, and isn't afraid to get dirty. The Mustang restoration is nearly complete. We did most of the work ourselves, and it's beautiful work. Madison remarried a federal prosecutor and moved to Washington, D.C. Kevin sees Sophie every other weekend, and their relationship is stronger than it's been since she was born. Sophie's learning about engines, about building things, about the value of work that creates something real. "Dad," Kevin said last Saturday while we were installing the Mustang's restored interior, "I understand now why you were angry." "I wasn't angry, Kevin. I was heartbroken. Because I was ashamed of you? Because I raised you to be ashamed of honest work. That's on me, not you. So why did you forgive me? Because you remembered how to be my son." The Mustang is finished now, gleaming red paint and chrome reflecting the shop lights. Kevin did most of the final assembly, and it's good work. Careful, precise, built to last. Like the relationship we're rebuilding, one Saturday at a time. Sometimes the best lessons cost everything you thought you wanted to keep, but sometimes what you build afterward is worth more than what you lost.